All right. Well, episode 40, we are going to bring this back with our brand new tradition brought to you by our buddy Ramon. Over here in the middle, Joey the Moron.
To the left, Jay Fierro. Just kidding. Jay Klein.
I was like, you changing your name?
Yeah, kind of.
To the right center, Mike Stuboy, Addicts, Meth.
It took you a second.
You didn't know
that
sometimes.
direction.
It's been a minute.
And our very special guest, big fan.
Yesenia, a recovered tweaker.
All right. Hey, welcome.
I love tweakers.
We are so honored to have you. Thank you so much for coming for so many different reasons.
Such a pleasure to be here. This is my whole life has been leading up to this moment.
Okay. All right.
Hey, you made it.
Hey,
Yeah.
You made it.
it's in some ways it's a little sad, Yesenia.
I
I mean, we're just like a couple dickheads in a room, like, hey, and your whole life has been leading up to this. Like,
it's all downhill
yeah,
from here. It's
like
just-
holy
I'm
shit.
peaking.
It's all just a roll down the hill.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And Jake Clyde, take away.
Next tradition, since you're our number one fan, you know what's about to happen. Let us bow our heads, close our eyes. Let's think about the addict that's still out there, currently struggling, the friends and family members that are struggling with them, and the addict that unfortunately cannot be with us here today. Let's take a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
All right. Well, we brought a guest back, but we also brought something else back today. Ladies and gentlemen, the nipple curtain. Mike's bra. Forgot to bring a shirt. I guess it wasn't laundry day today over here at the Two Addicts and a Moron house.
So somebody at work the other day that I don't talk to much,
Yeah.
but watches our podcast because he's on the other side of the building. It's not like I don't like him. I love him.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, man, why don't you wear your nipple curtains anymore? I'm like, all right. So I've decided to bring it out today.
I like it. I like it, dude. Now it'll have our, like, can I just get a nipple peek real quick? And they never will. They never will, dude. It never comes out.
It doesn't come
It's
out.
weird.
It's because I put glue on them, so they'll stick on the inside. So if it's like a pull, but it doesn't. It's a teaser.
You did it just
Yeah,
there. I got
nipple
excited.
teaser.
You were
Yeah.
like about to show
was
me,
about
and
to say,
I was like,
I play hard to get.
yeah, you did.
You need to start your own fan page.
Yeah.
Start monetizing them nipples.
Yeah. Well,
Straight up. You're missing dollars.
well, what he's not telling you is coming soon. It's just gonna be Two Addicts and a Moron painted on his chest. Like there's gonna be no more shirt.
Like
And then-
like SI swimsuit edition
Yeah,
type
and
shit.
that'll be like our fucking like Sports Illustrated.
Oh my God, we should
swimsuit
do a
edition.
fucking calendar.
Oh, I'm down.
Yo, that's genius. What?
All right.
Yeah.
With JV, you want to do get a month in there?
Yeah. You got to get a month in there.
Yeah.
Just one. He ain't got to be any nudity. We'll leave that to us.
All right. Well,
We'll be nude on the photo with you, but you can be clothed.
Coming soon.
What will
he's
Mom
like,
and Dad-
I'll shoot it. I'll photo it.
I would buy
what will
that.
Mom and Dad say?
Disappointed. Yeah.
No, they'll get over it, man.
Mine
My
too.
dad was here last week. He's come full circle. He's all proud and shit now. So it's like at the beginning when I was like, yeah, I'm doing this podcast. And he's like, yeah, what's it going to be called? I was like, Two Addicts and a Moron. They're like, of course. Fucking Joey. Yeah. So, but now they're all proud and shit. So it's pretty cool. So they'll be the same with you when you're naked in front of a camera as Mr. October or whatever. Yeah.
I was thinking October. You look like an October.
Yeah, you look like an October guy. The pumpkin head on and nothing else.
I want like a small tiger in front of me. In front of my,
Yeah.
the genitalia.
What month will that be?
We can get the tiger the tiger bikinis. You know that like the elephant ones, babe, that you bought me? The elephant trunk ones? Is it a turkey? It's a big old beak.
All right.
Hey, that could be November.
Okay, we got November, we got
turkey's
October.
right.
October, those are
Yes.
easy.
Yeah, that's true.
Christmas, that's easy too. Get a
Yeah.
little fucking package, you know?
Yeah.
Or a
Dick
big
in a
package.
box.
Big package.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
You cut a hole
That's
in
a
a
good
box.
present right here.
Yeah.
A bunch of cookies and milk.
A lot of milk.
Cookies and milk.
A whole lot of milk.
I'll be April with a real bunny in front of me. A little tiny bunny. Little rabbit.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah.
I expect nothing less.
Yeah. All right. Well,
That's a dope idea.
Yesenia. DOC.
DOC. Most recently, my struggle was with meth, Molly, GHB.
Okay. Hey.
Oh man, just
Oh.
Damn. The GH beer.
Yeah. All right. And how long have you been sober now?
21 months.
Oh,
Let's fucking go.
Let's
Thank you.
fucking go.
I mean-
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that I had to reset the time just a tad.
Okay. Well, it happens.
Yeah, but I'm definitely glad I did.
Yeah. Well, good. Yeah. Well, how would you say that your walk into addiction started?
Okay. Wine coolers.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Little Zima.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Non-alcoholic beer was actually kind of
Oh,
the
shit.
first experience. with
Really?
anything. Yeah.
Strawberry Hill. That type shit.
so it
are
was-
you talking about the 10-ounce
Bartles and
bottles?
James?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mom was kind enough to help out me and two friends. We were hanging out. I think I was maybe 12 or 13.
Okay.
And I drank mine pretty
Yeah.
quickly. And I'm, looking over at my friends and early signs of alcoholism. I'm like, are you guys going to finish that? I'm going to drink all of them now. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want,
Yeah.
you don't need that.
Yeah.
So I would say maybe an obsession around drinking started around that time, but I think it was a while before I started to really kind of dip, into obsessive, like using and just
Yeah.
kind of, really like, strung out addict alcoholic. It took a while before that happened. I was really kind of focused on being a good kid. I did well in school. I think I kind of had to. That was kind of my thing. That was kind of like what I was known for, was doing well in school. Made friends with the teachers, and I felt good about myself. I needed something to feel good about myself, most of the time, because life circumstances were kind of unpleasant for a long time. So I did see older people in my family enjoying alcohol, very much so.
Yeah.
And I kind of saw that like as a means to like relax or celebrate or get the stress, relieve the stress. So I was taking notes for a while, and I've heard people say, I never woke up and, realized I wanted to be an addict, or an alcoholic, but I kind of felt like that was going to be me. I started to seek out like books that would write about it. And I was obsessed with watching like Spring Breakers on MTV get
Yeah. Just
dude.
being hammered.
wasted.
That was a
right?
time to be alive.
That was what
For real, I was fourth grade watching that shit. I was
Yeah.
like, I wish I was there.
It looks so much fun, right?
did.
They're not going to show you, them getting arrested or what happens
Right.
the next day,
Yeah.
Right.
like waking up in weird places. And, but yeah, I was like, that looks like something I need to do. I want to do that. And so, high school, I think around then is kind of when I started to experiment with weed, and weed would just piss me off.
Yeah.
I'm not a weed.
But
I'm
why?
Not a weed
Why
gal.
would it piss you off?
It's
I'm
just
just
not
curious.
enough. you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. I needed to go to the moon.
Yeah.
Like I needed to escape reality.
Yeah.
It was just so unbearable, And so high school freshman year, I was voted was it most spirited? Because I was still in it. I was still thinking like things were going to go well.
Yeah.
If I just worked really hard at what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then I think it was when I went from an A to an F in algebra that I was like, that's it. I give up. Like there's no way.
Yeah.
You know, like that was like my weakness that I started to like magnify and say like everything is going to go wrong because I cannot master this. And so circle of friends started to change up a little bit. I wanted to kind of fit in with every little crowd, but it wasn't enough to be like friends with everybody. Like I wanted to be like the coolest person in that group.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just struggling with like trying to like master anything, you know, and I'm just a kid, but just, yeah, I wanted perfectionism in a lot of different ways.
And do you think, I mean, do you think that like you perfected drinking and using? Is that kind of what you kind of spun to, and you were like, I'm good at this. Like I'm real good at this.
First kill was sloppy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not. I was getting caught a lot. And so then I was like, I have to find something that's not as obvious, right? Because drinking and smoking weed, I think, is pretty obvious to people. Like you're gonna smell it, you're gonna be stumbling around. And so I found pills, and those are pretty easy to get away with for a long time, right? I think they started to really pay attention, right? My parents lived in different parts of the country too. So there was a lot of moving around for me, a lot of different schools I went to. So that could have been part of the reason I was trying to always fit in or trying to, you know, work my way into a group, because there was just, I always had to start over.
Yeah. It's rough.
It really sucked.
That's rough.
It did. I found out later that like on like checking off the boxes for like trauma stuff, like that was actually one of the things that was pretty substantial in creating like my trauma portfolio.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's extensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So pills came around, and I think they were suspicious when they're like, "You are happy a lot, you know?
Yeah.
Your mood has really changed. What's going on with you?" And I'm like, it's just cloud nine.
Yeah.
You know? Life is great. So that made everything, feeling happy, and just like with like everything is pleasant now. Like I'm not worried about perfectionism anymore, because like I don't need to worry about it, you know, when I'm lit up on some pills. So So got caught with that. So
With pills?
Yeah. My mom found my pills because they came from a family member, and so I'm from San Diego, right? I grew up in San Diego, which is next to the border.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of willingness for doctors down there to just give narcotics to their patients, and my family members were they were treating whatever they needed to, you know, and I was treating myself to what they were getting treated for. So my mom found him, and there was concern. There was like growing concern about consequences starting to show up. Like maybe I was like staying late out, you know, like hanging around like with a not so cool, you know, of friends anymore. And so, and I never like stopped to like reconsider, like, am I doing something bad? You know, I'm like, I should get better at getting away with it. Yeah.
Yeah. It always seems to be a common theme, is like, I don't need to change the behavior. I need to change how I'm going about not getting caught.
Everyone else is the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I'm not, there's nothing wrong with me. Yeah. Like everyone else has a problem with it, and we're going to find a way to make you guys be okay with this.
Yeah.
And so I think it would start to take on like this roller coaster addiction cycle. So I would be good for a little while, and then I would get really bad, then I would kind of dial it down, and then I would just kind of I was just always waiting for another opportunity, right? Like I was just, I was always planning out for months, maybe like this like real slow burn addiction. It's like, it's going to happen again. Just wait. So.
So I want to rewind a little bit because this is just interesting to me because our generation, we grew up in a weird time, a little bit of old school and a little bit of new, right? Like I didn't have the access to the internet quite the same way that kids today have it, right? But our internet essentially was MTV and those Spring Break and the glamorizing of alcohol and I mean even drugs, right? But one of our guests said, you know, I was trying to live up to the movie Blow, right? Like that was the thing. And I guess me watching that movie, there was glamour and stuff, but that's a movie of two halves, right? Like because if you watch the first half, it's glamour and he's buying all this stuff and it's real happy, and then but the end is probably the saddest thing that you've ever. It's one of the most heartbreaking movies that you'll ever watch. Yeah. You know, talk about a slow burn into what his life ended up being. You know, it's like, did you miss that part? Like, did you? Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people do. You're just gonna focus and like, oh, this is great. They're traveling and they're doing all this stuff, and then it starts. He's getting shot and he's having guns pointed on him. He's going to prison. Like, it's just a heartbreaking movie. But our generation seemed to have it more glamorized than MTV Spring Break. It was a week long of us watching people having the time of their lives
for years, right?
For so many years. Like, it's crazy. Do you think that played a role in your the glamorization? Well, I mean, I think it did for all of us, really. But for someone like yourself, who was just like, oh, that's the time. That's where it's at. You know.
Yeah, I think I always thought I was a stressed out kid.
Yeah.
And it just looked like so much fun, you know, like everybody was hot, everybody was partying, you know, and like it was, and they're of age, for the most part, right? And like I'm just a kid, and I'm thinking that this is what I should do, what I need to do to be cool.
Yeah.
Right? Not blaming MTV, right?
Yeah.
But most certainly it played a role.
Yeah.
There was a book I read called Permanent Midnight.
Okay.
And that was my blow.
Okay.
And then there was a movie later, and I actually read about it, I think, in Spin Magazine. So yeah, my internet was like Spin Mag, right? Like Rolling Stone, like MTV, But then later, I started to kind of, you know, experiment, you know, and explore, right, with the internet. Chat rooms.
ASL.
ASL. 19 girl, 19F, California. Tan, tall. It's like you were a child.
What was your screen name?
It was Neon Pink 19.
Fuck yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's
Mine
so
was
cringy.
Yours was what?
Dong Beetle.
Dong Beetle.
So
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's
It was
clever.
that, and I had another one that was Stu Poet because I used to write poetry. Don't make fun of me, fuckers.
Yeah.
And
you're such a poet.
Stu Poet.
Whoa.
I remember when Girls Gone Wild from MTV.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
We all watched
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I want to be there.
Yeah.
Like, and then remember when they had Snoop Dogg come in and fucking like do he filmed it for one whole week.
Yeah.
For one of the spring breaks, maybe multiple. And I was like, damn, they got Snoop Dogg in this motherfucker now.
Yeah.
Like, right? And girls are willing to fucking do whatever when Snoop Dogg's like, hey, do this or do that. They're like, no problem. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
I remember that. It's been so long, though.
And
That too.
How old are you?
I'm going to be 40
Okay.
next
I'm
weekend.
supposed to ask a woman how old they are.
Yeah, you are. on our show? We're supposed to. We got to know timelines and shit,
Look, I
man.
apologize.
Disrespectful.
You could have lied.
As your number one fan, I'm actually 30.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. No, there's nothing.
There's a
I'm
reason. He's the fucking
Listen, moron.
Yeah, listen here. I'm fucking 27. All right, asshole.
My daughter calls him Mr. Moron.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so precious.
Moron.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Moron.
Yeah.
He gives me a hug, and it's my mom doesn't like it. She doesn't like it at all.
She's not learning to like it.
I mean, she likes what I'm doing, but it's funny. Girlfriend, mom, like
son's on a
family members
podcast.
are like,
You
"Why
gotta
do you
come on."
have to be a moron?" It's like you could have been so many other things. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck. And now I just lean back into it. I was like, who knew that all I would have to do to make my way in this world was to be exactly what I've always been. Just a fucking moron. Yeah.
Well, the question she probably hates most is, "Oh, which one's your son?"
Yeah.
Fuck.
Oh, we get it all the time. I was in New Mexico. I was wearing 2 Addicts and Moron shit, and I'm in small city, New Mexico, and we're in a grocery store, and they're like, "So which one are you?" And I'm like, "I'm the moron." I was like in the middle of the store, and my girlfriend and her mom and her dad are like, "Oh God."
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, "I'm a moron. I'm not an addict. Which one is better?"
Proud moron.
I'm making jokes about it and shit. And they were like, "I don't like that. I don't like that you call yourself a moron." I'm like, "Is what it is." Anyway, so you're getting into pills. You're starting to get caught. And how old are you at this point?
15.
Whoa, shit, man.
What kind of pills were you taking?
They were 7.5 Norco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Weak.
I mean, hey,
Yeah. For a
it's just a
15-year-old?
matter of time before we
Hey,
graduate.
she's only 15. Wait till
We'll
she's
get
Oh,
there.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, curious. I mean, I know that you had access to them, but did you ever experience like maybe not having the access to them, and then you starting to feel ill, or any kind of early like withdrawal symptom by using them? That you can remember?
Not at that time.
Okay.
Not that I can. No. I think at the time I was like still trying to kind of parse them out.
All right. So you never really experienced, or that you can remember, any kind of withdrawal symptom. The reason I asked that is Aaliyah, she had mentioned that when she had ran out at like 16, she was like, she thought she was like physically ill.
Yeah.
And she like Googled and she's like, holy shit, I'm withdrawing from fucking opiates.
Well, she was doing fentanyl though.
Yeah, I don't think you get that from.
Oh, you do, but
you
it
get
just
that from Vicodin
oh
and
for
stuff?
sure,
Can you?
Yeah.
I don't
absolutely.
know.
That's
I was
why
never
people. That's why
proper.
people that were prescribed pills in the day
They keep
transferred over to heroin when that supply ran out, or
got
you
you.
know.
Yeah.
Is it as easy to go through withdrawals though?
I mean, it's certainly not as bad as fentanyl, but it's
Yeah.
it's still an opioid withdrawal, which is the similar symptoms.
Okay.
But it takes a little bit longer to work up a tolerance, and then a dependency, and then when I did pills, like I didn't feel withdrawal symptoms until like a year later.
That was about, I mean, if that, I mean, but I didn't have Google at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck's
So
going on?
I maybe I just thought I was sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I had flu whenever I had my first experience with it. I'm like, man, I just got flu.
Yeah.
I had flu symptoms. And my buddy was like, no, you need to smoke. You haven't smoked in a few days. And I was like, is that what's wrong? And I smoked and I instantly felt better. And I was like, oh, and it never occurred to me until I started doing this that that's the day where I became an addict
Like dependent,
because I was dependent on it at that point.
physically
Like I do
dependent.
not want to feel like that again. So I'm gonna make sure I don't run out,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anything to not feel like that.
But I never realized that was 10 years ago or 13 years ago now, but I never realized that was the day that I was like, oh, and it didn't even occur to me that those were withdrawal symptoms or that there was even a term for it. It was just, I felt like I had a headache and I took aspirins and my headache went away. That's how I felt.
So 15 years old, pills, getting caught. I would imagine that you're getting pretty close to graduating at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Actually, cocaine was right around the corner.
all right.
Yeah.
And talk about that.
So like around this time, I think what changed, the timeline is like what changed like with the MTV formatting, right?
Yeah.
So Jackass came.
Yeah.
My Jackass era is when we started to, that was also like the live music. I was living in, I went from a really small town. This is actually when I first moved to Arizona. So it's different states I've lived in: California, Washington, Arizona. You're going to hear me talk about eventually Texas.
Yeah.
So I went from a small town, Winslow, Arizona.
Okay.
Familiar?
I've heard the name. I don't know where it is in Arizona, but where?
Outside of Flagstaff.
Okay.
There's an Eagles song, standing on a corner
in
in Winslow, Arizona. Okay, so
such a
there's actually a Don.
to see.
There's a Don Henley statue there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a Walmart.
All right.
That's
cool.
it.
That's all you need.
Dollar
That's
General.
all. Yeah. Dollar General,
One street light,
Walmart.
we're
yeah.
good,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're cooking.
At that time, actually, in that small town, just small town, right? Like kids in high school, like absolutely nothing to do but drink.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say the adults were okay with it, but I felt like they kind of understood, like there's really nothing else here for y'all to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. And it was, so yeah, that's, there was a lot of drinking. And that's when my mom was like, we should get you in therapy. And I was like, I don't even know why. Like, I don't know what I'm mad about or what I would talk about. You know, I'm not drinking because I'm upset. Obviously, there was something going on.
Yeah.
So I think I went to like 2 sessions. And
What was that like? I want you to talk about that, because when I feel like I've been to therapy, but I went to therapy when I recognized something in myself that needed to be, I needed to address something, right? Like, so to me, it's a lot, there's a similar path with therapy and getting sober, and that like, you have to recognize that there's a problem for you to accept that kind of help, right? When you're like, I don't know why I'm going, like, what the fuck am I going to go and work on? I feel like a therapy session is very easily to manipulate your way through.
It's exactly what happened.
Yeah. So I that's what I wanted to get into. So talk about those therapy sessions when they did not work.
I'll say what you want to hear. Like, I'll say what I think I'm supposed to say. Just like, let me out of here so I can go drink again.
Yeah,
I got shit to do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a very busy 16-year-old. I have places
Bag in
to
my
be.
pocket right now.
Yeah.
That's my real therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not helpful. I mean, I was at the time, like, you know, with all of my experiences as a kid, you know, all the weird, questionable stuff that I went through, I wasn't ready to open up. And I think I talked about my dad, you know, because maybe like dad was drinking, and I tried to pull that card, and I tried to kind of talk about, you know, what was wrong with dad, and she advised me to write a letter to my dad, and I did, and I don't know, I think it maybe started to, if anything, it just kind of opened up a can of worms. Because I was doing such a good job of ignoring, at least I thought, you know, of ignoring all of the stuff that was driving me to drink, feeling as though I was stressed out as a kid, you know. No.
Man. Yeah, sorry to make you stop and pause and talk about therapy sessions and shit like that, but that's a tough one when you're being forced into those situations. Mm-hmm. You know, I know a lot of parents think they're doing right by their kid to, oh, you need to go to therapy. But if their kid's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going for.
Yeah.
You know, then why bother doing it? Because they're just going to sit there and, yeah. You know, dad sucks or whatever, you know, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Not only that, they might think like if there's not a good communication there, like, well, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm 15. Like, what is wrong with me? If you think I need to go to therapy, then am I really fucked? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like when my daughter thought she had ADHD, she was like, well, is there something wrong with me? It's like, no, baby, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just dad has it. Fucking I have it all the way to the top. Just need to see if that's what you have, so we know how to help you with your homework and other things that you can't concentrate on. But I think a lot of kids are probably forced into therapy, and their fucking thought is, well, what's wrong with me? Like, if you're telling me I need to go to therapy and mom's telling me I need to go to therapy, then what's wrong with me, rather than having a good communication with them and saying, hey, this is what we think. There's nothing wrong with you. We just need to figure out if there is something we can help you with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think therapy certainly can be used as a crutch. You know, like, oh, I'm going to therapy. I'm doing the right thing.
Or as a form of punishment.
Which
is probably what it felt like and looked like to myself. Yeah. I mean, it's not just a small town problem. I mean, like, it's the therapist probably was not very experienced. And I kind of felt like I had more intellect and more depth maybe as a 16-year-old than she did. And
you might have.
I might have.
I mean, that's fair to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's something that a lot of people don't give kids a lot of credit for.
Yeah.
Is the depths of what's going on with them, or even the depths of their intelligence. You know, you're a kid. You don't know what the fuck it's like. I don't know, man. Like, some kids are really fucking bright and in touch.
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes that scares them, and then they go off the rails and they start doing whatever, you know, hitting the pills, and especially when you're in a small town, that's wild. So,
and I think, I think it also takes a special type of person to be able to break through, like, the adolescent, the teenage mold, you know, the wall that is already up.
For sure.
Because, like, when you go there, it's like, this is fucking textbook.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't know me, you don't. And I think the way it's delivered and just the connection that you're able to build with somebody is so crucial in that, especially in that time period, in that time frame.
Well, and something you said, like, as a small town, that was probably the only therapist there.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
Like, in Austin, like, when I started going to therapy, I went to a few different therapists to find the right one for me.
Right.
And we did the same thing with my daughter. And then with my daughter, it's like, which one do you get along with best? Like, which one? Oh, I like this one better. This one does this or that. But if you're in a small town, it's not like you have a whole lot to pick from. It's like, I'm going to go talk to Paula. Paula's the best we got. And Paula's never done a drug in her life.
Talk to my friend's Mima. She's probably got better guidance than this therapist.
Yeah. And especially if they haven't, you know, with kids, especially you started using at 13, right? And you're 16 going into coke. If this therapist has never experienced that, maybe drank some, but never did coke and stuff.
She was a moron.
Exactly.
And that's always my thing is, like, I can't go talk to somebody about living in the projects because I've never lived there, right? I can't tell you, well, this is what you should do or this or that, because I've never walked in your shoes, right? I lived in a trailer, but I've never lived in the projects, right? I was never on government food or anything like that, right? So I can't go and talk to somebody about that because I've never experienced it. So if someone's never experienced, like, some of the things that we've done, how are you really going to help me? That's always my mindset. How am I going to even talk
100%,
to you?
Yeah.
And how are you going to help me if you've never went without a meal, but you're going to talk to me about, well,
that's the wall.
Yeah.
That's you don't know what this is like.
Yeah.
Right? You don't know my life. You don't understand my problems. They're very unique to me.
Yeah.
And whatever you think the solution is, like, I'm pretty sure, like, it's coming out of a textbook or just something that.
Now, at the same point, when I first went into meetings, I thought that same thing. These motherfuckers don't know anything about me.
Just about to say that.
Never lived my life. And then when I start hearing and start talking to people, I'm like, oh, they actually have.
Very good point. Yeah. That's what I thought of.
So I think we can use that as a crutch too. Like, I'm not going to speak in here because they don't know anything about me. They've never been through it. And then that's where you have to also be humbled too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've heard of look for the similarities, not the differences.
Yeah.
Because when I went to rehab and I got assigned a therapist or a counselor, and she never had an addiction, I'm writing her off every time. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, what are you doing here? Like,
Yeah.
go work with something else. Like,
Yeah.
I'll placate you, right?
Yeah.
We'll sit here, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
but actually, I found one time, and she was probably the best therapist I ever had.
Yeah. It's that same thing that we do. We're very judgmental. We're going to judge people based off this or that,
Yeah.
based off your experience rather than, well, maybe this person, maybe if I open up to them, maybe they can help me.
Yeah.
I don't think my therapist probably ever went through addiction or anything,
Yeah.
but she's helped me a lot. I
Yeah.
mean, she's never told me like she used to boof meth or anything.
Yeah.
Booty bumps.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, yeah.
But she's helped me a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Well, at the end
But
of the
again,
day,
I'm also open-minded to it.
that's
now,
what
too.
I'm saying is like you're going to get out of it what you're willing to put into it,
Yeah,
just
for
like
sure.
with anything else. But if you're not willing to go in there and put anything into it, then it's not going to fucking work. You're throwing your money in the air, right? Like, I mean, that is what it is. So, all right. So 16, you're breaking into coke now?
Yeah, a little nose candy.
Yeah. Yeah, a little force bump.
What do they call it?
Yeah,
Sugar
well-
booger?
Forrest bump. What?
I saw Deadpool over the weekend. They called it force bump.
Oh,
So I went to big city, Phoenix,
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
and they're pretty close to the border too, and have exceptional taste when it comes to powdered substances, and that was kind of the go-to. I started to experience like some popularity like pretty quickly because I was throwing keggers. Like I was known for, I would actually like draw like flyers, like art,
Okay.
and I would pass them out to people, and I'd charge people at the door, and
All right.
that was kind of a thing for me, and I felt really good, about having like the power and control of being able to do that. But I still like wasn't, I don't know, like even in those times where I think I'm having a great time, I think I knew then like this is actually not that fun. I think I'm just kind of doing this because I think it's a fun, cool thing to do, right? But yeah, Jackass was going on, and there was some good times for sure. There were some. So my mom, when she moved to that small town in Winslow, that's when she started corrections. So she started out as a corrections officer there.
Okay.
And then when we got to Phoenix, she was pretty good at what she did. And she used to do shakedowns in my room. And
Okay.
she would find my shit every time.
Yeah.
And it was weird around this time. I never asked her, and I think I'm probably going to now. Like, she would find my stash, and she would just kind of leave it in the center of the room. And it was just kind of a mind fuck. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what should I do? Right? It's like she's
Yeah.
playing these games with me now.
Yeah.
Did she count how many I had? Should I throw some of them
Is anything
away?
missing?
Yeah.
Is she
Yeah.
pinching this? Like, what's going on? Just stay up at night. Like, what's going on? How am I supposed to get high now?
Yeah.
It didn't slow me down. I would very narrowly graduate high school somehow. I started to really like lose interest in everything. That's probably when depression probably started to come around. Is I just found like no joy like in the partying, in the schoolwork, and things that used to always kind of bring me some joy, right?
Yeah.
I was showing up to babysit my younger brother. I was 18 when he was born.
Okay.
And people thought I had a baby
Yeah.
because I was spending so much time with him. But he was such a joy. I love him. I love all my siblings. And but I started to form a resentment because I was like, I'm 18. I'm taking like a half like schedule at my senior year. I am entitled to go party. And so that kind of like I would manipulate my way into being able to go out as soon as my mom got home from like a 12-hour shift. After I graduated high school, 19 was when I first did meth. That was a bizarre experience. it was in the service industries where I was kind of my segue into meth. I was working at a restaurant connected to a Best Western hotel.
Okay.
Super classy.
Yeah.
Hoot and Howl.
Hoot and Howl.
Shout out Hoot and Howl.
Yeah, shout out.
I hope they close. Hope it's condemned now. That place is terrifying.
Also a very good alternative name for meth.
Yes.
Hoot and Howl. That's fucking really good name.
That was a code word we had for it back then.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised with the results from meth. And I was like, there was something about being able to take the passenger seat instead of the driver's seat when it came to being hypervigilant. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, I have to be observant constantly of all my surroundings. I don't trust people, situations, or, and so being high on meth, it's like, I'm already paying attention to everything, and I can be high and enjoy myself while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Just pay attention to everything inside, outside. I can tell what the neighbors are doing from right here.
Yeah. I can hear what's going on down the street.
Exactly. Yeah. I know everything.
Yeah.
I was kind of in and out of like a roommate situation at the time, and I would go back to my mom's, and I wouldn't stop. And there was one time where light bulb times, right?
Okay.
I was enjoying my meth from a light bulb, and
I've done that before.
yeah, bro. It's really bad for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Broken light bulb. I mean, I've seen it on movies and shit. But
Yeah.
Oof.
And my mom got home from work. My brother was always in a different part of the house, and that was like easy for me to justify, right? It was never like I was like using in front of him because I'm not in front of you, right?
Yeah.
But like he's in the same fucking house. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell's wrong with you? She comes home from work one day, and I'm spun out in my room, and the drugs were like right there, and like in front of the door, and she like does like the mom swings open the door like what the hell are you doing? And she didn't see it, and that was beyond me. I was like, what just happened? I couldn't put the pieces together, and I'm like, okay, let's keep going.
Yeah.
That's no reason to stop or slow down.
Yeah.
Because I got away with it. I was just kind of, I loved that part. I loved getting away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started to come up on more pills too. And so I was starting to abuse stimulant pills at the time too.
Which ones?
Adderall, Ritalin.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it was always somebody else's medicine cabinet. I was kind of, I would go to someone's bathroom almost right away. It was of a family member or just a friend. Can I use your bathroom? And
Go to the old medicine.
of
cabinet.
course, right?
Yeah.
That's my medicine. It's
Yeah.
It's got your name on it, but that is mine, and it belongs in my pocket.
You're shaking your head, yes, because
Well, I was thinking in my head it was something different, like because I would do the same thing, except in my time we didn't, pills was not so much the thing anymore.
yeah.
But that was my first thought when can I use your bathroom?
Yeah.
I gotta use the bathroom bad. I gotta go back.
Yeah. Well, it's always funny
because I actually have to go.
when something resonates with Jay Klein. He gets a look in his eye, like he's just like. Yeah, it gets like real intense. It
does, because
I feel him, and I'm like trying to focus on you, and I'm like, is this motherfucker about to jump inside of this microphone right now? Like, I
have a very like vivid imaginary mind. It's like as soon as I hear that keyword, I'm like, oh my God, I can still remember the quartz countertops and the fucking silhouette of the mirror.
It triggers a visual for you.
Heavy visuals. I start going.
Yeah.
Start smelling the bathroom.
I remember just how full the toilet paper roll was. It was about 3/4 of the way empty.
It was 2-ply. Yes.
I remember that there was one strand of fiber missing from the bathroom rug.
It was a beard, not a mullet, with toilet paper. Yeah.
Yeah, beard.
Yeah, beard or
Yeah,
mullet.
beard style.
Yeah, beard.
Yeah,
And then, of
either
course,
or.
there's always that thing in the back of your mind, like, dude, I've been in here a long fucking time, dude.
Yeah.
They know I'm not shitting.
Yeah.
They know I'm not doing that. Fuck,
Oh
dude.
man.
Yeah. So, okay. So stimulants
Yeah.
breaks off. Still meth with the stimulants, I'm assuming.
I wasn't mixing at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I was still trying to mitigate, I'm like, this is kind of a big deal, doing the math. Like, maybe I should
Okay.
Back
drink
it off a
filtered
little
water
Yeah.
and cut back on my calories. Like, maybe I should
Go on a diet. Yeah.
skincare routine. So I should really be focused on. So it would be off and on for a little while like that. I actually got a job at the same prison that my mom was working at, and as an admin.
Yeah.
And I they put you on probation, and just don't no calling in type stuff. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. But I could not help myself from getting disorderly conduct at a concert.
Okay. So this was a specific concert?
This was Social Distortion and Bad Religion.
Okay. Yeah. That's an
All
easy
the-
one to get
Oh,
disorderly
yeah,
conduct
just-
at.
It's easy one to double fist.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the expectation. And pills. And I think I'm totally justified in defending my friend. And I get into a fight with somebody and I get kicked out, and I got something to say, to the arresting officer when he's letting me go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Of
told him.
course.
Yeah, he's a rent-a-cop, and that's what I said.
Yeah.
Fuck you, rent. And as it turns out, he was definitely not. He was actually a detective.
Yeah, you found
He had a
out.
little
He
bit
was-
of power.
He
Yeah.
was law enforcement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he definitely enforced the law, and
Yeah.
he did his job well. I read their discovery later, and it was like, I did not do all that. But yeah, I lost the job because I told the truth. I was told by my mom, like, always just be honest with them. And I was like, that was probably the one time I should have lied.
Yeah.
Maybe they would have found out later. Who knows? But like, I was always kind of like, a little sour around getting fired from that job. I thought I was doing good, and I wanted some hope, and I felt like that gave me some hope. Because I didn't want to keep going back to that bullshit. I gotten kicked out before I started. After I lost the job. It's a little hard to remember, but I got kicked out from my mom's because I was using, and kind of nowhere else to go. And there was a meeting going on at the time, and EMTs would pick me up, and it was another kind of a small town. It was outside of Phoenix, like a lot of prisons are. They're outside of the big city.
Yeah.
And I think people were kind of trying to do what they could at the time with what they had. And I went into a meeting, and I think it was an NA. And I was in the bathroom the whole time, just like doing my makeup. Like, I'm not gonna sit in there. I'm not gonna do that. Like I was completely in denial, about me, about my issues, right? Later, I would start dating someone, and we met on Casual Encounters,
All right.
Craigslist.
Okay. Let's get it.
Let's go.
Well, let's get it.
We told everybody we met at the library.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we read a lot of books
Yeah.
in there every day.
God. Oh, I grew very fond of Casual Encounters later. It was a way of life.
I used to read some of their posts and be like, I was in Walmart 2 days ago and I came across somebody. If that's you, please contact me.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I used to always see those misconnections were so
the
weird.
misconnections, those
Yeah,
are
like
so
you
weird.
are not gonna find that person. Yeah, you think they're
Either
a freak
that, or
like
you
you,
get, or
Yeah.
you get like a dude, like, yeah, it was me. I was the fucking guy at the Walmart.
You're a little bit taller and you
Yeah.
have facial hair.
Yeah.
but
I'm like,
yeah.
what are the odds that you leave, we connect, leave, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to find her on Craigslist.
Yeah.
And then you go on there and you're like, I'm going to find him too. And then,
Man.
you know what I'm saying? Like, what are the odds of, it's probably happened,
Oh yeah.
but what are the odds that actually,
Maybe-
really fucking
Maybe
happens?
once or twice.
Well, you never know. You can't miss your shot at love, dude.
Yeah.
Missed it once, ain't going back again.
You know, there was something there. I swear. She looked at me. She glanced at me. I saw it. She saw it. We embraced it. Yeah. I must chase it. I must find you.
Our hands brushed in the produce section.
Yeah.
She touched my leg.
This is God.
You were wearing a burgundy cardigan.
Yeah.
We
Good
locked eyes.
Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original dating website
Yeah.
was Casual Encounters. Craigslist. Yeah.
Shout out Craigslist, bro.
Big shout out, Craigslist. So he was. It was cool actually because he was into. There was still a lot of drinking going on at the time, especially when there was no meth. Like I needed to kind of change how I felt somehow, right? And there's easy access to alcohol. I'm finally of age, and I'm on unemployment because I got fired from that job. So I'm just kind of milking it. And I buy a bottle of Crown, and I go meet my casual encounters, and then we start dating for about 6 years. He was just as much into pills as I was, but I was always kind of like, but meth, you know, like, but when meth again?
Yeah.
And it was as toxic as you would imagine. I didn't, reflecting on it, like I see how codependent I was, how Al-Anon I was, because he was a very irresponsible person, and eventually he would get fired when we were living together from a job that he had for a while. And I'm like, we should leave the city.
Okay.
We should, you know.
Yeah.
This is a really good idea. Instead of like staying here, making it work, breaking up, like me taking responsibility, any kind of accountability. Let's just move cities.
Yeah. That's the problem.
We're we're getting evicted.
Yeah.
Eventually, like rent was paid for that month. I think I don't even remember, but we put some of our stuff in storage and we took off to Seattle from Phoenix. And so this was like my mid-20s. And this is like the arc, right? Like this is when like shit really starts to kick off.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah. Cause I was, I went from living with this person. We went to his family's house, his mom and dad. We stayed in a room that was connected to their house. And it was a very small room, just enough room for the bed.
Yeah.
And I was still kind of like not fully convinced that like I was always going to kind of be an addict. I thought like I can still maintain. And whenever I, get some money in my pocket, I would party. That's what I was telling myself. I'm enjoying myself. I'm partying. And pills was still the go-to because he had abused meth before. He'd experienced some consequences with it, and he never wanted to again. But I would never shut up about it.
Yeah.
But what about me?
Hey, remember that one time I did meth?
Yeah.
Wasn't that great? And so they started to crack down on how freely they were prescribing pills. Mm-hmm. And OxyContin, the formulation changed. And there was now a polymer inside of these pills, and you could not smoke or shoot them. We started... This is part of the insanity. We knew that the next level was heroin because we were in Seattle, and that's kind of like the natural order of things for a lot of people at the time, you know. And we started studying like the network of veins in the body. Google had finally came into my life around this time.
Thank God
Thank
for
God
Google.
for Google.
Thank you, Lord.
You ever use Arrowhead?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Man,
that shit.
And I started to read about other people's experiences with meth and like just how weird it got for them. Like, man, it never got that weird for me. It kind of did. But yeah, like I started
Kind of become like a fucking like you get a degree, you know, like with all the research and like it's I mean, that's at least how I was, and I assume, you know, I want to know every little thing, and I want to, you know, I want to know like just everything there is to know about drugs and how I can do them.
Yeah, that's gonna make me smarter somehow.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you're full of shit.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing studying what kind of gauge, you know, syringe you need, right? Like
I used to have a script. And I'd recite in my head like I'm fucking doing a pregame fucking about to go in the field. All right. 29 gauge long. No, I didn't say that right. And I would start like looking up fucking insulins because some places they would be a little more, you know, harsher on like giving out syringes. So, you know, you have to, I'm on Novolog.
you're like, okay.
That's my insulin.
Yeah, that's for my dog's
I raised
diabetes.
Pit bulls. It's for their vitamins.
Shit, I used to throw fits. Like they didn't give them to me. I'm fucking don't ever do that. Like I'm fucking throwing a fit. Like fuck you.
It's like, I need to speak with your manager.
Do you want me to get HIV? Do you want me to get a fucking disease? You fucking, I thought this was a healthcare place.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Itching and fucking got pop.
I pay my taxes, dude.
This is bullshit. I'm a Walgreens rewards member. And this is how you're going to treat me up in this motherfucker. I'm calling corporate. I'm calling corporate.
Star.
I'm calling corporate,
One star and
baby.
Yelp for this.
Yeah.
Bullshit pharmacy.
It's funny how like a comedian said it a long time ago, and it's so true. You know, it's funny how comedians make a joke out of something. They say something, it's really poignant. But he was like, who would have thought that having access to all of the information ever would have made us dumber? You know, and it really, I mean, you guys bounced that off of each other.
I think I know.
Yeah,
right?
it's like, yeah.
I can diagnose myself.
Yeah.
It's obviously cancer. I have a headache.
I know.
Okay, yes.
I either have the cold or I have AIDS. Like,
I have 30 days to live.
Yeah.
Yes.
You fuck around and get real scared looking at WebMD. Woo!
yeah. Oh, I guess I have herpes now.
Well, let's do more heroin.
Yeah.
Let's forget about this.
I'm in my family, like I'm the most well-versed person when it comes to like parasites in the body. Yes.
yeah.
Like I
know
know
some
I can
shit.
tell you all of the symptoms.
That's fucking
God
scary.
bless my family, dude.
we basically got a doctorate. I'm an honorary doctor. I used to tell people that. I'm actually a doctor.
Gaslighting the ER doctors, actually, when it comes to that, be like, you think you know.
Yeah.
I have a really good friend. I always tell Destiny, well, he's a doctor. And she's like, no, he's fucking not a doctor. And it's not, he really isn't a doctor. He just knows all this shit. So I'm like, I'll listen to him over a doctor. And she's like, but he's not a doctor. I'm like, no, he is actually a doctor. In my own mind, still, he's a doctor.
Yeah.
And like, I used to hate it specifically, like going to the hospital and I'd have to get like an IV or maybe some blood work. And, you know, you're not hitting this, okay? Like, and so they would come out and they're fucking jabbing me. I'm just like.
They're making bets on who can hit his vein and shit.
Then they start fucking bringing out the fucking machine. They got a machine now. It's called the Vein Finder. Yeah. The Vein Finder 1000. The Vein Finder. And they're bringing this up.
Yeah. Hanging a picture looking for a stud in the wall. They're
exactly.
The stud finder. They got the vein finder on.
They do.
And then they still can't get it. I'm just like, baby, baby, come here.
Listen.
Let me
show you.
Let me get that.
Let me help you.
Let me do that.
One good one.
You reminded me of my first time. Like, I got blood just rolling down my arm. We need more gauze. We need more gauze.
We got a bleeder.
Coding.
Oh, fuck. I'll fuck around for
Get a
blindness.
lawsuit on your hands. Jay Klein shows up. Yeah.
I'll fucking call corporate real quick. Not fucking playing.
All right. Well, this is what we do. We go off the rails every once in a while. You've seen it. You've seen
very
it.
familiar.
You're well
Yeah.
aware. So, all right, mid-20s, you're in Seattle.
Yes.
You're breaking into heroin now.
Here we go.
What else would you do in Seattle?
Heroin.
You know?
Yeah.
Put on some Nirvana,
Yeah.
Yeah.
load up a
Yes.
rig,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and zoom off.
Let's just, yes.
Kurt Cobain was a hero.
When in Rome.
Well, his story didn't end great. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, again, the blow thing, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
It's like Sleepless in Seattle, but heroin.
This part, I was working as a merchandising manager at Ulta, and touch, because it's kind of it's relevant, right, to Black Friday,
okay.
and I little PTSD from Black Friday.
Yeah. Anybody who
genuinely-
worked retail
Yeah.
back then will. I mean,
Yeah, Mariah Carey comes on, and I started
Yeah.
blacking out, and
Yeah.
it was me and like a new girl, and there was a line of people outside, and the doors open, and it's just swarming with people, and I was really not paying attention to like stressors because I had this fallback, this heroin, and they kind of noticed at, different times that like I would show up late, call in. And then the insanity for me was, thinking of, I was always blaming my relationship. Mm-hmm. It was him. Like he drove me in, or like we got into an accident, or I started saying that he was abusing me.
I'm going through a lot.
It's just, I'm a victim. I'm the victim here. And they let me go. And I was kind of relieved, because I was like, okay, now I can really kind of stretch my legs out, and like really hammer down on this addiction.
Yeah.
And the parents eventually found out, his parents that we were living with found out. And they kicked us out, kind of. We were living in my pickup truck on their property. Just big time, just doing big things.
Yeah.
And we stayed high in there, and eventually, like, I think the money ran out, and that kind of started like the cycle of like streets, like flops, right, like traps, and hotel motel, and I was so sick of dating him. Like there was like no sex in our relationship for years.
Yeah.
And I was like, just wait, right? Like I'm gonna get your ass back so hard.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of waiting for an opportunity to do meth. And he was pretty obsessive, very controlling. And I found a dealer. And it was so weird. Like he brought me the meth in a like those little candy hearts with like the messages on them. Mm-hmm. He put the meth in that, and I was like, "What the fuck is
so
this?"
fucking romantic.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh my God.
Are you flirting with me?
Yeah.
And I kind of did after that. I was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, is this a thing?"
Yeah. Are we boyfriend girlfriend right now?
Instead of like, call me, it says meth me. Right?
fuck a diamond. That's the real crystal I want.
No, it's like we're basically married.
He loves me.
Poor guy, man. He would. He found out later I was calling him Rob Zombie. His name was Rob.
Okay.
Because he would get so spun out, and he would come back with these crazy stories where he would be like completely blacked out and just kind of like, spewing nonsense. And so I started calling him Rob Zombie, and I don't think he was very happy about that. So I was shooting up heroin, and I eventually would try shooting up meth. And that was game over for me. That was like, that sealed the deal.
Yeah.
That was it. I was like, I know what I need to do, and it's that. And it's always going to be that. And if anybody gets in the way of that, they're going to catch these hands, right? Like I'm going to fight to be able to keep doing this. And it was just everything fit This is me. This is my identity, right? All throughout my life. Never had an identity. Never could identify or relate to really anything. All the moving around. Never feeling like I was doing anything right. And this was like, this is it.
Right.
This is right. So it was like lifestyle stuff, right? Coming along, you know, with the lifestyle, like all of I was a criminal. I needed to be a criminal. And there was less and less heroin eventually. And I got really sick of getting sick. And I said, something has to change because I wanted to stay high and I was not willing to go through withdrawal. So we were squatting in an attic in some unfinished house in summertime in Seattle, and it's still hot.
Yeah.
Okay, any attic in the summertime is extremely hot.
Yeah.
It was miserable, and I know I got some hustle, and I know whoever's hanging on, which is like the guy that I was still kind of seeing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I knew he wasn't good for shit because I knew he wasn't going to get out there and do anything. Right? He wasn't going to put himself on the line like I knew I could.
Yeah.
And so there was another couple that we were kind of mingling with, and we would swap partners. And we were staying in a hotel later. And I was talking shit to her. We were texting back and forth, talking shit. And he had stolen my wallet around that time, the ex. And so I'm like, listen, I need that EBT card.
Yeah.
And my ID for obvious reasons. But I was like, I need that back. And so he agreed to meet up with me. And at the same time, this was like this turning point in my thinking, right? That I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And so I called my plug and he'd always had it. He always had it, and he was always in a car, and he always seemed to kind of be on, on top. Like he was always working. And so I reached out to him, and he was part of a Crip set up there, and I begged him to front me a gram, and begged him, and he was just, I was kind of like consistent, like I never burned him, even if I like maybe owed him money, like it was never more than 24 hours before I would get it back to him, but he would never even allow that, right? And so he begrudgingly handed it over. He's big dude. He's a big D.
Yeah.
This guy. And he gave it to me, and I was really grateful. And it was a gram in my pocket, and I wasn't going to do it, and I needed to flip it. I needed to do something with it because we had to leave the hotel we were staying at with all of our suitcases, like you do, right? And I got the dope, and meeting up with my ex, trying to get my wallet back. And he pulls up, and just another using acquaintance is driving, and he's in the passenger side, and I didn't notice that the girl that I was talking shit to over text was in the back seat, and she hops out. And and like a Cali girl, like a hood girl, right? What's up, bitch? Right?
Yeah.
And she just sucker punches me, and I'm sick at the time. And she was bigger, and she was definitely probably high, like very high. And this was one of the nastiest fights I've ever been in. And this was a fight where I was like, I'm probably gonna get very seriously injured or die if I don't, really fight back. And so it got really ugly. And I was really proud of myself because I didn't die.
All right, but hey, look, hey, that's the key to life. Don't die.
Yeah. Survival, it definitely kicks in.
Yeah, that fight or flight shit. It's real.
Man. This was all about, I was not about to, there was no flight. She was very strong in the moment. And I was like, I still got a job to do, right? Like I'm pretty sure I'm concussed.
Yeah.
So,
man.
We part ways. And I ended up getting the profit off of an ounce, like within a few hours of starting out with a gram. And I was like, I can do this. this is like, that was like another like layer to the obsession, right? Like I can do that and I can still also, you know, shoot
Get a little
dope.
high here.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. And sales took off pretty quickly. And I thought I was, you know, I never thought like I was a thug or like some kind of fucking gang bang type chick, you know, like I thought I knew something though, you know, like my family comes from gang activity in San Diego. And so I thought like I was, you know, I thought I was entitled
Yeah.
to be able to do this for sure. And yeah, walking around with money for the first time and had a trap, like a literal trap house, one way in, one way out. It was absolutely fucking terrifying. There was nothing fun about it.
Yeah.
Right. But I was high and I could get as high as I wanted. And that was part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because this is when I started to kind of stay up for days and days and days and days. Because when you're a criminal, you know, like everyone's doing something. I got to keep an eye on everything. And I don't trust anybody.
Yeah.
I don't trust myself. And so I kept getting more deliveries from Big D. Shout out Big D.
Shout out.
Shout out, Big D.
And I started to, I didn't know it was psychosis at the time. And no one could have told me I was hearing things or that it wasn't real or that it wasn't, there was everything real about what I was experiencing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You weren't there, but I could hear your voice, and that to me is real.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was going to say, talk about that because I've always heard of it, but I've never went into it myself.
Yeah. So talk about that. And then I have a follow-up question to that because I'm curious about it.
Might be a second before you get to that
Yeah.
follow-up.
Oh, yeah, that's-
So, like,
Let's
for
go.
the people that don't know what psychosis is,
Okay. Psychosis is at the point where your mind experiences a mental break from reality. It's either too stressful from sleep deprivation and, you know, the substances that you start to experience things similar to what a schizophrenic goes through.
Mm-hmm.
You see things that aren't there, like the shadow people, right? Best friends, homies.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Slither in the
Yeah.
vents.
And and I make friends with these people. Like it becomes a part of like my life, right? Like everything I hear, it's the parts of your mind that it's almost like a waking dream,
Right. So just strange.
nightmare, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, very strange.
Kind of
stuff,
Beautiful
yeah.
Mind type of shit, like that movie, A Beautiful Mind. Where,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You start to kind of you think you can like tell the future, right?
Yeah.
Like you and you think you know what everyone else is doing, you know, and it's a big responsibility, right, to be in psychosis, right? Because it's there's a lot going on, right? And there was already a lot going on for me. I was already responsible, you know, for a lot of drugs, you know, some weapons and some money, and my freedom was obviously at stake too. So this event, you know, after we swapped partners, you know, I had a talk with this guy and I was like, listen, I'm going to be the sales and you're going to be the muscle. And I would have him sit in the corner and look like a cop
Yeah.
and dress like a cop. Not like in a cop uniform or nothing,
Yeah.
but he would just kind of fold his arms and look like a narc, and he would make whoever came into the trap feel really uncomfortable because I needed to like feel comfortable. I needed to feel safe. And it would make people feel really uncomfortable because I needed them to leave after.
Yeah.
Because there's this expectation, you know, like with meth, that there's obviously going to be some kind of sex.
Yeah.
And it's not with you though, right? Like
Yeah.
you should go.
Yeah.
Because I will, just give me a second, you have to leave, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, him and I were involved. And we were both sick and high, and like we would, you know, he would get violent and get pretty aggressive with me. And it's weird. It's like I was well aware of what was going on, but it was just, I was definitely willing to tolerate it. I was okay with it. I would call the cops on him, but he would get out and he would come right back. And that was, man, that was so devastating when that stuff would happen. It's just like, I'm going to have to keep on going through. There's really no way out of this, is what I was thinking and feeling at the time. And so the voices were really starting to crowd out any kind of like, truth or reality or real thoughts. And the voice of Big D came into my mind, and he was threatening me. And I was told that I needed to leave Seattle. And that at this point in the psychosis, like he'd already killed everybody in my family. And I was like calling my mom, and I was like, send me a picture of the newspaper with today's date on it. And she's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm like, you just listen. Okay.
Yeah.
But that wasn't enough. Right. Because like everything was so real in the psychosis. And so, they were now threatening the life of the guy that I was seeing, my partner. Right. And, that was like the only person that I knew that still knew who I was. And I felt like if he was gone, then I would just be desperately alone. And so, he tells me to go south of Seattle, right? Go to Tacoma. And I was, really dragging my feet. Did not want to leave the safety of the trap house. And
safety of the trap house.
Yeah,
wow.
If anything, like it was everybody else that was safe because I was in there.
Right.
And so, I decided to go for a little walk. And I wasn't walking fast enough. And he starts telling me that I needed to run. And I'm on the highway, and this is like rush hour. Highway in Seattle is not like maybe like a highway out here. Like it's like a main thoroughfare, right?
Yeah.
Like 2 lanes going both ways.
Yeah.
And make my way to the sidewalk. He tells me to start running. And then he tells me he's basically trying to like humiliate me. And he's telling me to take off your hat, take off your shirt, take off your shoes, get the fuck out of Seattle. Don't you ever come back here, right? And I'm like, okay. And then I glance over into the bushes, and what I think I see is that guy being executed. And then I was like, my life is at stake now. And so I took off all my clothes, and I started running. And I was running for my life. Yeah, so that was my psychosis for me.
Fuck. So my follow-up question, that's fucking crazy. But so I've heard of psychosis before. I mean, you a little bit, not that, not like
Never
that.
got naked down the highway,
But
I've definitely seen shadow people.
Yeah.
And
So
talk to them.
my question is this is like a chicken or the egg thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know that there is a right answer. I don't know that we ever will know the answer, but do you think that just had to do with the deprivation of sleep only? I know it began with drugs, right? The drugs is what kept you awake. But do you think the drugs induce psychosis, or do you think the drugs just induce you staying awake for so long that you end up going into psychosis?
Well, the drugs are the chicken,
Okay.
right? Like I'm gonna stay up
Yeah.
because of the drugs.
Right.
And I mean, it's also the stress, right? Like because people who are not doing drugs, they can experience psychotic events, psychotic breaks when they're under a great deal of stress, when they probably don't see a way out, and yeah, it's just like, my own delusions will start to kind of culminate in seeing things and delusions, right?
Yeah.
And I think what doesn't help is like the drugs will magnify those delusions and turn them into, I need to run. I need to run down the highway. I ran to Walmart too.
Perfect place to
Like
go.
what you do. Exactly. That was the perfect place for me to go, right?
Yeah.
Of course, this is what happens here,
Yeah, they were probably like, yeah, I mean, that's fucking normal Tuesday or whatever. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's whatever.
This is Walmart. Okay? Yes. What do you think this is, a Ross?
Yeah, this isn't Target.
You're looking for TJ Maxx?
Yeah. Come on, we're not at Nordstrom's, okay? Calm down. It's just a naked person running through fucking aisle 9
Yeah.
or whatever.
I thank God I didn't get in.
Yeah, no shit.
I was actually
Those motherfuckers wouldn't let me in the store.
You fucking Walmart greeter. Walmart greeter. You're not gonna let me in?
I probably thought he was going to kill me too.
Yeah. Oh Jesus. That's
Some
fucking
people
crazy.
saw me because I started to try to cover my bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And it was very kind people tried to stop me, and they kind of cornered me, and I'm trying
Yeah.
to, do some, some trying to make it to the end zone. Okay.
Yeah.
Trying to shake these people.
Yeah.
And she manages to throw a poncho on me.
Yeah.
And then I just look a little bit crazier, right?
Yeah.
Because then I'm just running with a poncho.
I mean, you were running naked into a Walmart and they covered you with something. You're not looking that much crazier with a poncho on.
Yeah, it was, none of it was good.
Dude, that's insane. I mean, I know
Yeah.
we're like having a laugh about it, and I appreciate you looking back on it like that with some sort of sense of humor. But man, that's fucking crazy. That's so fucking terrifying and crazy. And seeing you the way that you are now is just
Night and day.
it's fucking it's
Total
not
transformation.
it's insane.
It is.
So
it is.
I mean, it's safe to say that was probably the pinnacle of like
It got weirder.
really.
That wasn't a dub.
Got weirder, bro.
Okay.
Man, yeah, just. I mean, I jumped into the deep end,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah. I mean, I'm well known around these parts now.
This is me now.
Well,
yeah,
like,
it
literally.
became my set.
Yeah,
this is my,
Literally, I'm well known around this
Yeah.
motherfucker
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, you know
You know
me.
the naked girl. The naked Walmart girl.
naked crazy Walmart
The
girl.
poncho girl.
Yeah, poncho girl, how you been?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the ways it got weirder. I had a little like group of people like working with me or working for me,
Yeah.
and I would run away, from the trap, and I would go stay with them, and we're all high,
Yeah.
and it got really uncomfortable when there was a lot of kids in the house.
Oh man.
Yeah, and like we would just be like locked up in the bathroom, and I would maybe like not get as high because I kind of felt like responsible
Yeah.
for like keeping an eye on the fucking kids. Like, what's going on, y'all? Like,
Yeah.
and I would go back. I would
Yeah.
keep going back to that dude. So it got weirder like that. I was a public fucking nuisance in a lot of ways. Like, God bless Seattle PD.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like before, I think before there was probably like a lot of exposure on, maybe things that cops weren't doing right. I saw a lot of them doing really what they could for me.
Yeah.
I was so alone during these times, like, and they would pick me up from like a Denny's because like, the voices would be telling me that somebody was going to come meet me and pay for my food. And or they would come in and like, they'd pick me up and pay for my meal. Or they would see me, like maybe getting like, they would trespass me from different places and pick me up, and they would try to talk to me, try to see what kind of help I needed. And it's like, you are a cop. I cannot trust you. I cannot, much less anybody. Right.
I think
they
that's a
did.
good thing they do now is, most police departments, especially in a big area, they have like mental health police officers on call where they can show up and like they go through training and shit for that now. Where before it was like fucking just show up and arrest them, tase them, get them the fuck out of here. Now it's like, no, this person really has something going on with them.
I'd like to think I was part of the training that
Yeah,
they developed
but
in Seattle.
You were,
That
but
was the reason they
Protocol.
started it.
what year was this when they were doing this?
Oh man. It was 2014.
Okay.
It's
So,
good.
man, I mean, you're right. God bless them for that. They saw something in you, and I'm capable of helping, and I'm going to try to do what I can. And that at that point, I almost don't even see that as a cop. I just see a fucking human being.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's, oh,
Maybe
man.
that's a cop that went through it with one of their own family members, our friends.
Undoubtedly.
You know?
And
This was a really sick part of Seattle, by the way, like South, like SeaTac, Federal
Yeah.
Way area. Everybody, so many young people, you know, strung out around the time.
Well, it wasn't long ago. Wasn't it Seattle where they took over a few of the streets? Like fucking, they like took it over from the
in
city.
over in that
And like
section.
if you go in that area, like fucking, we own
Like
this part.
fentanyl occupy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some shit like that.
Yeah.
That's Seattle, right? Isn't that the same spot?
Well, it's like I mean, there's so many occupations in the United States where we are, and there's shitty people doing every single occupation out there.
Yeah,
And then there's some really fucking good ones too.
yeah.
There's shitty doctors, there's shitty lawyers, there's shitty cops,
City cops.
there's shitty everything,
Yeah.
right? You name it. And then there's also some fucking awesome ones out there
Yeah,
that really go out of their way to help a brother or a sister out. And so, yeah, shout out to whoever those guys were. I mean, man, that's so cool. I mean, it's really good to hear that, especially shortly hearing about Naked Poncho Lady, you know, and you're right in the pinnacle of this thing.
Yeah.
And you've got dudes that are like really trying to figure you out, to help you out. And you're not going to let them probably, but it's,
God bless them for trying.
I'm capable, so I'm going to try.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like,
I
Yeah.
think when you know, on the news too, you always hear about like police brutality and shit, right?
Yes.
And I think they get such a bad name. My brother's a cop, and I've dealt with some good cops and I've dealt with some bad cops, and I've dealt with more good than bad for sure. And especially when I was in the wrong. And it's one of those things where, like, a long time ago, someone may have showed up and said, "Oh, she's a threat." But now with the training, like, oh, you're in a fucking poncho and you're naked. Like, how much of a threat are you really? And yeah, shout out to them. Shout out to the training they do now, because you know there's.
well,
a
it
lot
sounds like this was probably even a little before that.
yeah, maybe before the
really
training.
before
You
it
started
started.
the training.
Yeah.
I mean, so, I mean, I know they're doing stuff now, but this 2014 that's a long time ago. That's 10 years ago. You're
Wild.
yeah, that's fucking wild, man.
Yeah. To think that but I mean, I reflect on like how difficult it must feel now for anybody involved, you know, with like the judicial or law enforcement system to be like how powerless they must fucking feel,
Well, yeah.
you know, about you know, such a monster like fentanyl, you know, when it's affecting everybody like so deeply.
I mean, it's not even, it's everything. It's the cop is like, you're running to the most stressful, traumatic situations that you can think of. And everybody's lying to you, and everybody's out to get you or get one over on you. You know, you can't, and they're not paid that well for what they do. They're not, it's a fucking hard job.
It is.
It's a hard job, and it's a real easy job to lose yourself and get dehumanized pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But, and I don't want to go off on like, this is Two Addicts and a Moron. I don't want to talk about that too much, but knowing all of that, and I think we're all in agreement there, seeing somebody come out as just real human beings wearing a cop uniform, I mean, that shit needs to be said, because who knows what those cops were going through on a day to day, and they saw you,
I put him through the ringer.
and yeah, they saw
Jesus
you,
Christ, man.
but they were still, you know,
They were patient.
extending
And
an
they were
olive branch.
compassionate, and they did their best to treat a crazy tweaker with dignity.
Yeah.
And that's actually saying a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really, really
Yeah, so
cool.
I really do
to
credit
hear.
them, you know, for like, for me, like seeing that and being like, why do you care?
Yeah.
You know, like you care a little bit when I want to die.
Yeah.
And I'm trying different ways to kill myself and I just can't.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that helped you in a lot of ways too,
think it
especially now. It's like the compassion that you have when you see somebody. Like if you seen someone running around right now in a fucking poncho, you'd be like, oh, let me help that person.
Yeah, you're not looking at that quite the same way as most other people would, you know, sitting in your seat right now.
You know?
Yeah.
So talk about you getting sober. Oh, like, let's talk about
Talk about the good.
let's get going into that direction. What kind of send you off into that?
So after Seattle, there were a lot of, you know, there was a lot more, just a little bit ups, but mostly downs, right?
Sure.
I started to get connected to services because of the arrest. I started to get hospitalized, and I started to get case managers, and they started to talk to me about treatment or therapy or going to meetings. And I was like, I guess, like I have a job to do, you know, like that's when I went into my brother, bless his heart. Like I owe my family so much. They're the real day ones, right? Like they know. And if they don't know, then they should know. You know exactly how much.
And now
I
they
care
do.
for them. I want to shout it from the rooftops. Though.
Yeah.
They really are my best friends, and I care about them so much because they kept on loving me and they kept on praying, and I did not want it. I didn't think I needed it, and I didn't know how to do it for myself. Right? Yeah, man.
Yeah, I didn't think I deserved it.
Didn't think I deserved it. So I would go, he would make phone calls, Google, right? Like whatever the first result is what families are going to go to. Let me take them, see who I need to call to get them into places. Like they start trying when they see a crisis like that. Cause here's what I didn't mention about, you know, getting arrested after Walmart. As I went to the ER and, so crazy. I was obviously like, you know, strapped down to a hospital bed and they were trying to, you know, chill me out with the Ativan and just, I wouldn't shut up. My crew comes in, like the people that are working for me come in and it was bizarre. Like, how did you guys know I was here and why are you here? You know, they would leave and then, my sister-in-law and my brother would show up and they just looked devastated. And I was kind of hurt that, you know, they had to see me like that. But then I was just like, well, what did you expect? And it was like extreme, it was glaring, you know, like, how obvious it was then. Like, but I was like, I can handle this, right? Like I'm
just a bad day.
Man, listen, it's just a bad, it's just a bad, we're going to bounce back from this. And so, that's when I started to kind of see what it was like to, I started to get introduced to recovery. And, it was maybe a year later that I went into a state-funded rehab for about 100 days. And when I graduated that, I knew I couldn't go back to Seattle. And so I asked my family to help me get to Austin because they had started to move here. They were already living here. And it was, that was in 2016. I went into sober living. And it took a few tries.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would start to experience some discomfort. And then I was like, my reservations to use again. Of course, that's exactly what I should do to, you know, stop feeling the way that I feel about something I feel powerless over. And yeah, I would, you know, kind of dabble and then it would turn into something real crazy like, and it would get worse and worse and worse almost every time. I would end up overdosing on cocaine at one point, had a grand mal seizure, mall, not grandma.
Yeah. Grand mal. Yeah.
And it was actually after the seizure that I was like, I think I have a problem.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah, not naked Poncho running in Walmart.
Oh,
No,
not then.
no.
Yeah. I was like, I think I should probably do something to stop. Because like I mentioned, I'd started to experience some recovery, and I was getting really frustrated with how like the using was starting to experience psychosis a lot sooner too. But I was always willing to go back to it because I just like,
That's what you knew.
just what I knew, right? It was a pathway in my brain that I'd created that I was going to keep on going down until I put a little bit of faith in a different pathway that I was completely terrified of.
Yeah, it's like when you're in a toxic relationship for so long and you keep going back and you keep going back because that's all I fucking know. You know, that's what I know. That's what feels as weird as it seems. It's familiar and it feels comfortable, even though it's not. Yeah, you know.
Maybe to a moron, it's like
it's fucking crazy.
It's absolutely insane.
But that's kind of what I bring to the table, right? It's like me being a moron and not understanding this or getting it at all. But I mean, it doesn't mean I'm not compassionate about it or want to try and understand it, you know? So,
which can I say really quickly, like just the willingness to kind of say, I don't know, that is miles ahead, like head and shoulders above the rest of the world when they're like, I think I know what's best for you. I think I can tell you what to do. And I think you, instead of just saying like, teach me, like, why don't you educate me and like, let me ask some questions. Like there's so much compassion in that, you know, and that's probably like one of the first real things I saw about the podcast. I'm like, that is genius. So
well, I appreciate that. But you know, Rachel Elizabeth, she put up something the other day, and I've actually told myself this a lot now, but it's, you know, let's normalize not asking why when somebody says they don't drink. Like, why don't you drink? You know? So but even before that, it was always my thought, you know, when I come across somebody that, you know, why don't you drink?
What's wrong with you?
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Because I do heroin. Because I do heroin.
No beer for me, thanks.
I'm not ruining my sobriety over a Coors Light. Get the fuck out of here. I mean, that'd be a cool response. But I mean, it does. There's a lot of people out there that probably have that question asked to them, like they have a fucking dick growing out of the middle of their forehead, and when they're like, I don't drink. And you're like,
that would be the first question I would ask back before I was sober.
Yeah.
Oh, why? How come? Like, there's something wrong with you because you don't.
Because you don't.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of world are we living in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, this is literally a poison, you know, that's killing my friend.
My responsibility. Do you do crack? No, God, no. Why not?
Right.
Yeah.
Why
so,
not?
but I mean, it's
Let's
about
normalize
everything.
asking why you don't do meth.
Yeah.
Why don't you like bolos? You got something against that, or what? Like, this is from God. This is a crystallized product. You know, like,
This came from the earth.
This ain't from Jared, baby.
Yeah.
Like,
Fresh out of your bathtub.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you saying that, but the recovery side of things, you know, you fell off the horse a couple times because it was what you knew. It's a pretty common tale as well for a lot of people. But what made it stick?
Yeah. I love this part.
Yeah.
Of the cast. Yeah. We talk about like my like the happy birthday, right?
Yeah.
My birthday cake.
Yeah.
Like, what was it?
Yeah.
It was treatment, but it wasn't like what I was learning or like I was so sick of going to rehab.
Okay.
I was like, why am I here again?
Yeah.
I've been here, right? I've been inside of a facility 10 times. I graduated a program 5 times. And I think coming back here is going to fix something, is going to be different. And just being conscious of these thoughts for the first time was actually kind of me being honest with myself for the first time. I'm like, this is stupid. I had like more awareness around the insanity about going into a rehab than I did around going back to a substance that was trying to kill me. It's like the same, you know, hearing the same things. And you know, the same shitty pillow and, you know, the same carbo load. And it's like, why am I doing it then? Why am I coming back here if I know it's not working? If I know it's like, oh, wait, that's not working either, actually. Yeah. Maybe I should stop doing that. So I stopped coming back here. I was just not willing to deal with that part of my insanity, that part of the illness anymore. I thought going to treatment was going to teach me something. And of course it did many times, you know. But after the 10th time, like, welcome back.
Yeah.
Frequent flyer.
Yeah.
Hey.
Got a lot of points.
You got your spot ready for you.
Did you put
you
in
know?
your phone? You remember, put your number in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Collect your miles.
Talk about Walgreens fucking points.
Funny story about that real quick. So I thought I was being slick, right? Because I would use my mom's points because I wanted $1 off of the $3.17 it was for a pack of points. And well, I didn't know. I told my mom I was sober one time, and you know, she suspected I was, you know, because we didn't really see each other. So, you know, sure, you're in a sober house and you're probably sober. I wasn't. And I didn't know that she changed the way she received her receipts.
What the hell?
So she it was no longer a paper receipt. It was a digital receipt from Walgreens, and it got sent to her email.
Oh, no.
So I used her points to get some free points. And I get a call, and she says, thought you were sober. I said, what are you talking about? I am. She said, well, why do you have hypodermic needle purchases on my rewards?
Oh no!
Yeah. My dog has diabetes.
Yeah. Surprise! I relapsed.
Oopsie.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's for a science project.
You know, something you said earlier was when you used to blame things on your relationship with your jobs. When I would get in trouble at work, I would blame my daughter. I'd say, well, my daughter, she's got 105 temperature today. That's why I'm late. Or she's in the hospital. I might not even be able to work today because I need to go see her. And like, I got one of my supervisors gave me one of my write-ups the other day. And it, like, I got wrote up for being there 30 minutes late. And then I fucking wrote this whole, my daughter's been sick. She has 104-degree temperature. None of that shit was ever true. My daughter's never been sick like that. But that was always what I threw at you to make you feel pity for me. And like, I'm the victim, right? I'm being a good dad. And then something else you said, like whenever y'all used to do dope with kids in the house, I used to think because I had air purifiers around my house, my daughter was safe. I could smoke. I'll get high in the bathroom. And I've got 2 in here. So surely that's not going to seep out to her, even though she's just in the next room waiting for dad to finish taking this 3-hour-long shit that he's not taking.
Right. I have to tell myself whatever, you know, creative lies I can come up with. Because there is a part of me that understands, like, this is pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Right. And so I got to come up with something really creative.
Justify the shit out of it.
Because I got to sleep at night, or maybe not sleep, but
Right.
I got to lie awake at night. I got to stare at the ceiling for hours, you guys.
I got to feel as good as I can.
But it's crazy when I hear you say that, and I know that there's a lot of people that are watching that are going to say, fuck, I've done that too, or I still do that, right? And I wanted to bring that back because they're not alone. We're not alone. We've all done it. Don't feel terrible for doing it. Just stop doing it, you know, because that's something that, like looking back now, there's no fucking way I would ever do that. But when I'm in that mindset that I've got to get high, I'm going to fucking do it. I'm going to do whatever I have to, and I'm going to blame it on whoever I have to because it's not my fault. I'm sick.
Protecting a secret with my life.
Yeah.
Right. Because like that's my thinking is like my life is on the line because like the only reason I'm alive right now is because I get to get high. And yeah, like the shit that we'll do, right? The lengths that we'll go to be high. It's impressive. Yeah. I'm impressed, you know, with the levels of insanity. I am truly right. And I'll tell you why. It's because when we learn how to hack that.
Yeah.
And we say, I now want to be obsessed with helping others. I want to be obsessed with being like a part of like all of the life experiences. I want to be obsessed with, you know, bettering myself or just kind of showing up funky sometimes, like being vulnerable. I want to be obsessed with humility. I want to be obsessed with God. I want to be obsessed with, you know, being a part of a community that's so full, you know, of acceptance and compassion. Then you're golden, bro.
Yeah. Well, it's like maybe this is a better way to put it, but I don't think me as a moron, I will ever understand the obsession that you guys have. I won't get it. I don't have it. But watching that flip, as you just put it, hacking it and it going the other way, I'll never understand that side of the obsession either, because you guys understand what true fucking obsession and manipulation is. So flipping that, keeping the obsession and flipping the manipulation to
a positive
service, to compassion, to all of that, that you guys, I mean, that's the other side of it that I'm always blown away by, but always, but just overall just impressed with that. But you would never understand it if you never, I mean, we were just laughing about it, but you would never understand the way that you are now if you didn't run naked into that Walmart and grab, you know what I'm saying? So
it had to get real bad.
Yeah,
right?
you had to figure that out to figure it out. And so man, it always just kind of blows me away a little bit. So getting sober and it sticking, and you basically, you're like, all right, I know rehab. I know what we're going to do there. I don't need to go. I need to stop doing that too. So what happened? What did you, what'd you do?
I got really serious about the 12 steps in Alcoholics Anonymous. I felt okay with that being my only obsession at the time. And I really needed to feel safe with something. And knowing that I'd seen other people in my community, litter mates, right, we call them, that had gone into like the same centers. Remember, I think you heard me talk about NA24 when you came to our function. How they're doing well, and whatever pathway they chose to take, they all share something in common, and it's that they stopped, they stopped doing the nonsense, right, and they started helping others. And I made an agreement with God, and this kind of became my step 3, that step 2 rather, that I had an experience with a higher power of my own, because I just made an agreement with God. I said, I'm just going to keep showing up and helping others. And I'm going to trust and believe that whatever you have, in front of me is what is meant to be and what's right for me. And so I gave myself a role, and it gave me purpose, and it gave me meaning. And I didn't have to like suffer and with like stress or like misery anymore, just because I didn't have money or a boyfriend or a family. Like just it wasn't about external anymore. Like everything that I didn't know I was seeking the whole time, I gave myself. I gave myself purpose and meaning because I was just sick of rehab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know you said that last time you got tired of it, but I would be willing to bet that you pulled some of those values from rehab and the 10 stints that you did. You probably pulled some of it out of there, but I mean, big up to you for just being like, you know what, been there, done that. I just need to fucking provide myself with this at this point. So did you go into sober living?
Yeah. Right out of there, I went to sober living, and I really started to practice, right, this belief in a higher power. I started to apply for scholarships. I was terrified my job wouldn't let me go back. This right before rehab, I was working, and I managed to not get fired. It's really hard to get fired from my job. I tried.
All right.
And their culture there is one of compassion and mental health, right? And scholarships that I'd maxed out, like already. Like I was like, let me just I mean, I think my thinking is I'm not going to get it because I maxed it out, right? Like they say, it says there in black and white on their website, you can only do it so many times. And I said, well, what if I give this to God instead? And if it happens, it's great. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. It's kind of like one of my beliefs now. And I get blessed, with the scholarship. I get blessed with back pay for the time that I was months that I was in my relapse. I got paid for that from my job.
Wow.
Yeah. There was so much financial fear going into sober living, like with almost nothing, right?
Yeah.
That's one of my biggest fears now, still.
For all of us, I mean,
like that's the one thing that not that I ever think about using, but like if it came down to it, that would be one of the first thoughts. I would get past it quick, but that would be my fuck. I don't want to deal with this. Let me get high.
Yeah.
But that is my biggest. Besides losing my daughter, that is my biggest fear. Is going back to having nothing.
It is such a threat. And it really is a threat to a lot of our recoveries, right? I stopped experiencing so much financial fear when I really just started to show up consistently for, my sponsees, with meeting with my sponsor, like revealing to her that I had a slip. And then in sober living, going from a resident to a house manager, starting a new fellowship in Austin, and, volunteering for organizations, like showing up, just doing that, like staying outside of like my fears and outside of self. Because when I'm stuck in self, it's just a matter of time before self-will and self-reliance are going to show up, and I'll start looking like a crazy person again. No ponchos.
Yeah.
Right. But like I'll start being really cruel.
Yeah.
I'll start swiping on Tinder, and I'll think that there's ways to fix this discomfort that they don't work like that. It doesn't work like that. I started to just consistently give back to others. And when I don't have much is when I feel really called to like really give more of myself. And then what always happens, God will always show up like almost right away. That's like insane. It's wild, I was really anxious about the holidays coming around. And I was kind of like, dipping into a little overdrawn, in a couple accounts, and I was trying to, be careful with spending. And then I get an email from a settlement, and I was like, what the? Yeah, it's wild, dude.
My request is still pending.
Yeah, Facebook lawsuit. What's going on with that? So I got a settlement from Juul, right? Juul pods, the vapes, right? And it was it like, I don't know, like it was over $1,000 between, And I was like, how? I was just kind of like shook. But I've been like working on, allowing God to do these miracles in my life. And I've been just laying back in the cut and just like stay calm, like recenter, like do whatever kind of practice, like the meditation, the prayer, helping others, whatever it takes to kind of feel okay, in this uncertainty. And then, so just it continues to unfold in ways that never cease to surprise me, but I'm not thinking I'm not deserving of, because I think you're just as deserving, right? I think anybody that, shows up and puts in the effort is deserving of it. And I see that I am doing that. And I'm very proud of myself for some of the things I do, but I don't try to, pat myself on the back too hard, but it's been a long road back, my friend.
Well, I think you do need to pat yourself on the back a little bit more. I mean, I think being the moron, and I know that you're living for others and you're really doing for others, but you can also get lost in that. And if you don't take time to celebrate yourself or to pat yourself on the back, then I mean, you're not asking other people to. You're just doing it yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Because you are deserving of that. You really are. So pat yourself on the back. You fucking earned it.
Man, that pat, I feel it strongest when I'm working with another woman.
Yeah.
And they're revealing some truth about themselves. And I get to say, I know that truth because that was me, or that can sometimes still be me. Mm-hmm. And then they feel safe. And then just years of like, anguish is just kind of like, oh, I can move on from that now. That is like the most powerful thing to experience.
I bet.
On behalf of another woman.
Right.
That's doing the same stuff that I've been doing for years,
Right.
And they get to experience some freedom.
Well, they don't feel alone.
They don't feel alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they deserve that help.
I agree.
And you deserve that help. And we'll pat you on the back. we got you here. We're very proud of you.
Thank you.
And hearing that story and hearing how fucking crazy it got for you, but also knowing that, like, I mean, you're like a day one fucking fan of ours, like a legit, like, early day one fan. And I'm honored to have you on here. Like, we really, really are. I mean, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story.
Pleasure's all mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you were family before you sat in that chair. You really were.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But now that you've sat there, you have an open door here anytime you want. If you want to come by, watch, we'll probably have you on another time or two. And same thing that I extend to everybody who sits in that chair. But if you need us for anything, you pick up the phone and call us. You know how to get a hold of all of us, and we'll be there. We'll run. So, how do people find you?
That's Facebook,
Okay.
Yesenia Mejia.
Yeah.
And Instagram handle is Jess Mejia. And then I have kind of a meme account. It's Sober Juggalos.
All right.
It's been a little quiet lately. I've been doing a lot of work in the community, but it's unhinged. Okay. And like, listen,
good.
like, just don't judge. Cause like, it's got some fire
It's
OC names on
jokes.
there. It's all original content.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I know you said you had a fellowship that you started.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Yes, of
Let's
course.
Get that out there too.
Sobriety is the Native American version of the 12 steps.
Okay.
It isn't active right now. But if anybody wants more information about that, I'm certified to carry the message in that. And that looks like it's a lot more family based. And so I think in AA, what happens is we stop drinking, and then we work on our behaviors, and then we kind of, have this experience with God. And of course, everything else that's so great about that. But with Wellbriety, you're actually breaking the generational trauma stuff for the next 7 generations of people.
Wow.
It's a lot. It's an undertaking for sure. And there's exercises, and there's step work in it, and there's a book for it too. It's called Walking the Red Road. Walking the Red Road is meant to say that you're walking with spirit, you're walking with God, you're walking with integrity, and you're doing what you can to be good to other people and to yourself and your family and your community and your land, and in spite of what other people believe or think, right? Just helping others. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, episode 40 was
40.
a doozy.
40.
Yeah. Yeah, not the OE 40. Like just episode 40, like your age.
Oh my
Oh
god!
my
crazy.
God! I just called you out.
I'm not 28, you guys. Episode 28.
Well, Yesenia, thank you a
Yes,
million
most certainly.
times. That was awesome, and I'm sure we'll look forward to your comments, not only on your episode
many
but
comments
every
after this
episode,
Yeah.
every day thereafter. But we got another one in the bag, boys.
Yeah.
This was good.
Let's get better about this too. Like, subscribe,
Yeah.
notification bells,
Comment.
Smash that like button.
Smash it.
Smash.
Subscribe everywhere, and subscribe on Instagram. We're fucking TikToking now. We're doing
Our Spotify,
video.
everything's about to be back up.
Spotify is about to be fired back up. Sorry about a complication there. And yeah, Facebook, Instagram, all the places. Come find
You
us.
got to gas up your homies, right?
Yeah.
Like, always, right?
Yeah,
like
most
even
definitely.
always, whatever kind of milestone or whatever kind
Yeah.
of, you got 2 years, bro. Hell
Yeah.
Heard you got some cookies that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, shouts out to my homie, man, for, I don't know what her name is. Maybe she was a guest or maybe she is a guest on Two Addicts and a Moron. But shouts out to them Tiff treats, man.
Yeah.
It was delicious.
Yes, we love tips.
Nice.
Yeah. You gotta
Still waiting on that
support
$200
everybody.
though.
Thank you guys.
All right. No,
Yeah.
thank you. And Two Addicts and a Moron. Over and out.